All right, thank you for in case number 2014 CR 692. This is the State of Ohio versus Frederick M. Smith Jr. Mr. Smith is present before the court at this time with his counsel of record, Thomas Simon. The State of Ohio is represented by the Ashtabula County Prosecuting Attorney Nicholas LaRoche. This case is scheduled for sentencing today. The court did obtain a pre-sentence investigation report, and I have reviewed that written report. Mr. Simon, have you had the opportunity to review the pre-sentence investigation report in this case?
Yes, sir.
Now, counsel will recall that following the sentencing and the order that I put on, I did request that both defense and the State of Ohio submit a sentencing memorandum to the court. But I don't see any. Mr. Simon, do you have your sentencing memorandum?
I do not.
Mr. LaRoche, I didn't see one from the state either.
Your Honor, I apologize, but I did not personally receive a copy of that order, so it was not forwarded to me, and I'm sorry to say that my office, there must have been some miscommunication in my office. I did not receive that. So had I known that you had ordered it, I would have immediately provided the court.
Well, the clerk was directed to serve it on the prosecuting attorney and the defense counsel, and I might mention it's in bold caps, underlined. So apparently nobody.
I didn't even read it. It's not that I didn't read it, Your Honor.
You didn't get it?
Exactly.
Mr. Simon, is there any reason why the court should not proceed with judgment and sentence at this time?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Is there anything further you wish to present on behalf of Mr. Smith before I impose sentence?
Yes, Your Honor, there is. Mr. Smith would like to address the court, and as would the young lady's mother who's in the honor building.
What order do you want to do this? I usually will allow the defendant to speak last so that he has the opportunity to hear what everyone else has to say.
Yeah, we would prefer that. Thank you.
What about, I apologize, I don't recall the name of the lady that was in the car with Mr. Smith, but her mother, you say, is here?
Yes.
The lady who will speak, Your Honor, is Valerie Calleth, the mother of Melissa.
All right. Why don't you have her speak now?
I will. Thank you, sir. Go ahead, you can address it.
Well, why don't we do this? I don't normally go to all this trouble. Why don't you come right up here and take a seat on the witness stand? Start off by telling me your name, please.
My name is Valerie Tabit.
How do you spell your last name?
T-A-B-I-T.
All right. Did you want her just to make a statement, Mr. Simon, or were you going to direct her?
No, Your Honor, she will make a statement.
All
right, go ahead.
Okay. As you know, I'm Melissa's mother, and we've been through a very, very traumatic 4 months. Freddie's been with her day in and day out, caring for her. She's recovered. It's been amazing. And he's been right in prison because it would totally destroy Alyssa. And Freddie's such a good young man. He's never been in trouble. He made a huge mistake, and it's a major life lesson that he has learned. My daughter loves him so much. I love him so much, and there's no resentment that we have, no animosity whatsoever. And I want us to be able to move forward without any more trauma and just get on with our life. And that's really all I have to say.
Now, where do you live?
Right now I live in New Jersey.
All right. Melissa,
She's in California.
okay. All right. And I know she was very seriously hurt. Right. But how is she doing now?
Doing so well. She's walking. She had no internal organ damage. It was just skeletal. She's doing great. She's just experiencing a lot of stress. She's recovered. It's been amazing. And he's been right there to help her. And he is her security. Just being away. She couldn't come and be here today. She really wanted to be, but one of the orthopedic surgeons had to remove a pin from her leg. And there were some sutures and he wanted her to keep her leg elevated. But she would have been here.
All right, Mr. Arochi, do you want to ask any questions about this?
I have no questions.
All right, thank you. We'll take a seat back in the back. Just watch your step as you go down there.
I will.
All right, Mr. Simon, anything else?
Your Honor, Mr. Smith would like to address the court.
Well, Mr. Arochi, before we get to that, does the state have any position with regard to the sentence on this case?
We do, Your Honor. As part of the plea negotiation, the state's recommendation that the court impose community control sanctions was a result of Mr. Smith's plea to vehicular assault. The state's recommendation that the court impose community control sanctions was a result of Mr. Smith's plea to vehicular assault and the OVI, in requesting that the court impose mandatory minimum sanctions for the OVI, which I understand is a class 4 suspension, which would be between 1 and 5 years of license suspension. We do believe that a 5-year maximum license suspension is in order. Your Honor, we took, as the prosecutor's office, we took into account all factors in this case in making our recommendation, just as the court is taking into its account several factors in imposing sentence. One of the key factors, is the victim's position in this case. And she wrote a letter which the court has received, and you've heard from her mother. She wrote a letter that she's very apologetic for what's happened and sorry for what Mr. Smith has done, and that they are still engaged in marriage and their intention to marry in the near future and to raise a family. My office also took into account, Your Honor, the fact that Ms. Tabbitt was highly intoxicated when she stepped into that vehicle. She herself tested a .283, which is well over the legal limit, as the court well knows. So, and the fact that Mr. Smith was a .09, clearly over the legal limit, but not that much over the legal limit. So taking in those factors and other factors, we felt that community control sanctions in this case were justified, and would ask the court to follow the state's recommendation. Thank you.
All right, anything further on behalf of the state?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Simon, anything else other than the statement by Mr. Smith?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, we've asked the court to follow the state's recommendation. This wrongdoing, he knows he was wrong. It's a glitch in an otherwise remarkable record, Your Honor. I've read the pre-sentence investigation. He's an outstanding young man, except for this incident, Your Honor. We'd ask the court to take that into consideration. And Mr. Irochi is correct. The class 4 suspension is a 1 to 5 year suspension. We'd ask the court, license suspension, driver's license suspension. We'd ask the court to impose that at the lower end, Your Honor, and run that concurrent with the OVI suspension. And we'd also ask the court to strongly take into consideration the state's recommendation on sentencing insofar as community control is concerned for the vehicular assault and the minimum mandatories on the OVI, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Smith, as I'm sure you know, you are not required to make any statement. But the law does give you the right to make a statement if there is anything you would like to say personally before I impose sentence. Do you wish to make a statement at this time?
I do, sir.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I just want to say that I'm very sorry, and I understand that this did not only affect myself, but my girlfriend greatly. Her parents, her family, my family, co-workers, and this has been more than a life lesson. I'm very grateful to even be alive after that accident, and I want you to know that I'm so sorry, and I will never ever drink and drive again, and you will never have to see me again in this court. I promise you that. It was a mistake. I was very stupid, and I'm just very grateful that my girlfriend's okay, and I didn't think anything could bring us even closer together, but this has, and I'm just very grateful she's okay. So, thank you.
All right.
Well, I guess in hindsight at least, we can see it was beyond a mistake. It was really reckless. But he spent 3 days then at the Ashtabula County Jail. But again, Mr. Simon can help you to schedule that intervention program. Under the circumstances, I'm weighing the seriousness of the circumstances of the offense against the things that have already been mentioned and pointed out by your attorney, and the fact that you don't appear to have any history of this type of conduct, driving under the influence, things of that nature. So, it's going to be the judgment and sentence of the court at this time. That on the charge of vehicular assault, which was, I believe, count 1 of the information, that you will be sentenced to a period of community control initially for 2 years, during which, of course, you'll be expected to remain law-abiding and comply with all the standard terms and conditions of supervision of the Ashtabula County Probation Department. I'll have some other conditions that I'm going to mention in a minute. On count 2, the operating a vehicle while under the influence, there is a mandatory minimum of 3-day jail sentence, which can be satisfied by attending a state-approved driver intervention program, which is an equivalent length. So I will impose that mandatory minimum sentence on the OVI charge, which is count 2 of the information. And again, suspend the imposition of that sentence on the condition that you do complete the program. I think under the circumstances, it has to be approved by the state of Ohio, so I don't think it's unreasonable to expect you to complete the one at the Lake Area Recovery Center, which you can talk to Mr. Simon about getting that scheduled as to when you can get that done. On the charge of vehicular assault, the court is going to also impose a fine of $1,000. And on the charge of operating under the influence, there's a minimum mandatory fine of $375. So I will set that at the minimum fine. So you have a total fine obligation of $1,375 plus court costs. There's mandatory driver's license suspensions on both of these offenses. So on the charge of the vehicular assault, I'm going to set that at what appears to be the minimum mandatory sentence of 1 year. And on the other charge of operating under the influence, it appears to be a minimum mandatory 6-month license suspension. Those suspensions will run concurrently or together. I think there's one final requirement. The court is going to impose a requirement for community service. And the way I will expect you to fulfill this community service is I'm going to require you to make arrangements to give a presentation at each one of the high schools in Ashtabula County. I will expect it to be at least the equivalent of a period of assembly that can be scheduled at the school, during which I want you to be able to explain to these young people the dangers and the risks associated with driving when you're impaired, to explain how that has impacted you in your life, and also how it has affected other people. You made reference to this in the pre-sentence investigation, that family and friends and other persons that you are associated with have all been impacted by this, including somebody, I presume, is your beloved girlfriend, Alyssa. And I'm sure that there's been a lot of direct and indirect impact. You'll have to be able to confirm to the court in writing that you've completed this. That means somebody from the school will have to be able to confirm to me that you've done it. There's probably at least 6 schools that I'm aware of, maybe 7 presentations, and I know it might take a little while to get this done. So I would expect that within a year that you should be able to have that completed as a requirement of community service as part of the court sentence in this case. It's not appear that you have any jail time credit associated with this, and you're not arrested at the time that this occurred. If you do violate any condition of the community control, which means, first of all, if you commit another offense, or if you otherwise fail to stay in contact with the probation department, anything that would be deemed a violation. On the charge of vehicular assault, the court will impose a prison term of 12 months. On the operating under the influence, failure to complete the intervention program will make it mandatory that you, of course, if you fail to complete the community service, I will consider that also a violation of the general terms of your supervision, so that would trigger the 12-month prison sentence. Now, you will have to go over to our probation department. You went there for a pre-sentence investigation report. They'll give you a copy of the standard terms and explain to you what the requirements are going to be for supervision.
Just that Mr. Smith's motor vehicle license has been suspended since the day of the incident. We just want to make sure that your record reflects that it's retroactive to the day of the incident.
Mr. Arrucci, it's my understanding, I think under the statute, that maybe that's, if there has been a suspension, it does automatically go back to the initial imposition of the suspension. Is that your understanding?
It is my understanding, Your Honor, which is the reason why the state has asked for a longer driving suspension. So that is correct, Your Honor. It's supposed to be retroactive to the offense.
So that's October 29th. Anything further?
I believe it was October 7th, Your Honor. We verbally
Oh, we talked about that, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, we verbally amended the indictment. Yeah.
I should have marked something on the paperwork. We did talk about that the information had the incorrect date. October 7th.
Correct, Your Honor.
Anything further on behalf of the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Well, I don't expect that I will have any further reason to see you in this court, but certainly not in any court. So, not for anything of this nature.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to get a microphone. Thanks.
I mean, absolutely. He's a great judge, and I left up to his good judgment, and I just feel very, very grateful, and I'm just very proud that I have all my family and friends here supporting me.
Are you sorry you put other drivers on the road at risk that night? I mean, it was just plain stupid to do that.
It was. It very much was. And to everybody out there, I mean, like, we've heard it all the time, but when it happens to you and you just realize how many people you've affected, friends, family, coworkers, it really does spread. It's not just yourself, so it was very selfish, and I'm very sorry for doing it.
I know you have a huge following out there on Twitter.
Yes.
Your girlfriend Alyssa, your fiance, has one as well. Can you tell people how she's doing?
She is doing absolutely fantastic. She's got a couple weeks left of physical therapy, and she'll be back to good as new. So it's been a journey, but we've taken day by day, and this whole experience has actually brought us closer together, which is amazing. I love her to death, so she's great.
My last question, you're going to have a unique opportunity. You're going to be able to actually talk in front of kids.
Yes.
As part of your community service. What kind of message do you think you're going to send, and how important is this opportunity to you?
I think it's very important. I'm very excited to be able to share my experience, because if it's able to keep drunk drivers off the road, especially hearing it maybe from a younger peer, I think that's going to be great. And I'm very excited to go speak and try to keep people off the road doing that, because it's terrible.
Anything you want to say to your fans? Just last question. Anything you want to say?
Yeah,
I just a lot of support out there.
I just want to say, thanks for the support. Today was very nerve-wracking, and to hear all the support from fans, friends, and family has really helped me stay strong, and so I appreciate it.